Hello, hello. Welcome back to Life is a Vibe. I hope you guys are doing so well. And if you're not doing well, it's okay. Today's episode, we're going to give a little pep talk type episode. I love doing these episodes, and I feel like you guys also like doing them too. If you clicked on this, you might be feeling like your life is a mess, like your life is falling apart. So I just wanted to share just some insights, some wisdom, and a little pep talk. And hopefully after this, you can go out, go back into the world and just figure it out, whatever you need to do. But hopefully this helps. I got this idea because I too was reminded of this feeling of feeling like your life is a mess, like your life is falling apart, like things are just not going well. I was very deep in my PMS going into last weekend. I have been on this whole hormonal journey, and I've been very tuned into my body, and sometimes it's a little too much. Because I used to be on hormonal birth control. I recently went off the copper IUD. So my body is still, I feel like, sorting itself out, which is pretty crazy to think about. And so, yeah, I was super deep in my PMS, and I was like crying to my boyfriend, and I'm like, I feel like nothing's going right, blah, 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 like this whole thing. And he was like, Aid, like, it's fine, you're good, what are you talking about? Like, and he was being super supportive, and like I think he even said, like, he called me a butterfly. He's like, you're a butterfly, everything's fine, blah 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 blah. And I was like, no, I am a messy, goopy caterpillar right now. I am a gross, goopy caterpillar. And I was reminded of this because this time last year, I was going through a super transformational coaching business program called Online Coaching Accelerator. It's by Rachel Bell. And I remember one of the coaching sessions with Rachel. It was like a kind of mastermind kind of call or whatever. And so we got to submit questions. And I don't even remember what my question was, but if I remember that state I was in, it was like, I feel like things aren't working. Oh, it was something to the lines of like, how do you continue to like trust and hold the vision when you feel like things aren't going well, when you feel like things aren't working? Like, how do you continue to show up? She went on this whole thing about like it being this metaphor, right? That sometimes we do have to retreat and go back into the cocoon, and the cocoon isn't this like glamorous, transformative, like beautiful process. I mean, it does blossom into something beautiful, but it's messy. It's goopy. The caterpillar goes in and gets all gross and goes through this uncomfortable period and change, and then it blossoms into this butterfly, right? And even in this lifetime, there will be periods of that. There will be periods of you retreating, going into the cocoon, starting new, even starting back to the caterpillar phase and going into the cocoon, then blossoming into the butterfly. I swear to you guys, I feel like I go through a rebirth process and transformation process like every 3 months, if I'm being honest. I also have a phoenix tattoo. So I have 2 symbols of transformation on my body. I have a butterfly tattoo, and then I also have a phoenix bird tattoo on my upper back, which also symbolizes like burning to the ground and rebirthing, right? And so if you really are feeling like a mess, if you really feel like your life is falling apart, what I really want to instill in you is that it's okay. At the end of the day, it's okay. It truly is okay that it's a mess. And I think this goes into the whole idea and the whole perception that when you resist it, when you resist like I can't be feeling like this. Life can't feel like this. And you keep resisting the messiness and you keep resisting the brokenness. It makes it so much harder. And so if you clicked on this episode today, that's an acceptance. That's a full acceptance. Maybe not a full acceptance, but maybe a partial acceptance that, hey, life is like this right now. And it's okay, because the thing about messes, they're temporary. That mess you have in your room, temporary. Now, it could turn into a permanent thing if you allow it to continue, but it's all temporary. The mess can get cleaned up. The pieces can get put back together or could be made into something new. It's all temporary. And I think a lot of the times we keep ourselves in the permanent feelings of like, life is going to feel like this forever. And it just is not going to. It can if you let it. But the reason why I think a lot of people let it is because they're refusing to accept that it's temporary. They're refusing to accept that it can change. They're refusing to accept that life is like this. I think a lot of the times we push it away, that we are feeling like this, or this is the way life is currently, because we don't want to accept that. Because when we do accept that, it's like, oh, shit. You know what I mean? I want to instill in you that just because what you see on social media, just because what you see how other people are living their life, you don't see what's going on behind the scenes. I feel like a lot of times we judge our lives based on other people's lives. Someone could be the happiest person and posting all the time, but behind the scenes, they're falling apart. Behind the scenes, things are not great, right? And so I want you to take that out of the picture and really just zone in and hone in on what is going on in your life. And by doing that, it can move you to a place of acceptance, and also recognizing that life got to this point at a certain point, whether it was like an overnight thing that happened, whether it was a specific thing that happened, or whether it's just been a gradual progression over time, a letting go of things or whatever, right? And as I've said, there's so much to look forward to on the other side of this that you don't even know yet, that you don't even recognize yet. I see it a lot of times with friends and clients when they're going through a breakup, because if I can talk about one point in my life that was messy and tough, but was so transformative, was my breakup that was basically kind of like my early 20s. With someone I thought I was going to be with forever. And I had the ugly girl crying, I'm never going to find anyone else. Or, rah, 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 rah. Like, he hurt me. Rah, rah, rah. And that I could have stayed in that mindset for a while. I could have stayed in that. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to take some time. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to heal. And I'm not going to let a man put me down for this long. I have so much going on. I have so much going for me, and I'm not going to let someone else, I'm not going to give my power away to someone else because they decided they didn't want to be in my life anymore. You know what I mean? And so, that was a really messy and broken time that I was like, all right, this is where we're at. It's time to pick up the pieces. And there's even been other times, right, where my first breakup ever in college, I handled that breakup in a very different way because I was too young to know how to. And I also didn't have the proper coping skills taught to me. I binge drank, I binge ate, I was talking to guys and was searching for external validation in all of the wrong places because I was out of a 5-year relationship, and I didn't know how to love myself. And I thought getting love from somewhere else would help. Right. And there's kind of a turning point where I realized, I think it was coming out of winter. I believe this was my sophomore year, maybe. And I was about to start trying on my summer shorts, and those shorts didn't fit anymore. And I was like, how did I even get to this point? Like, I was just so blind to what had happened because I was just so hurt and I was healing and whatever. And so I share both of those instances where I truly thought life was a mess, life was broken, and yet things were still going on in my life that were going really well, right? And I share all of that because, again, these are things I don't share on social media. When my life is not doing good, I don't really share too much. Last week when I was going through my little PMS thing, I did not want to post on social media. Some people, it feels good for them to share all of that on social media. Me, I kind of need to take space. I need to take a break. And then I can come back and talk about it. Then I can come back and tell my followers, what's been going on. Then I can come back and tell my mom or whoever how I was feeling. When I'm in the thick of it, it is really hard to be thinking about sharing it with the world, Just take a step back here, right? This thing that you are currently going through. If you listen to my vacation episode, Hacking Life Fulfillment, I think that was last week's episode. One of the guys, he said, we don't have problems. We have challenges and we have situations. Similar to this, we have a mess. We feel broken. We feel like life's apart. On the other side, when you take a step back, this is just that small portion of your life that you can either continue to drag out or you could kind of face it head on and figure out what you need to do to just have it be a story you tell, to just have it be a lesson you learned and that you grew from, right? That's what I think about. I take a zoom out and I'm like, if I was writing a memoir, this is that chapter of like, oh, me going through my breakup, me going through binge eating, binge drinking, me going through, quitting my 9 to 5, me going through really crippling self-doubt that I've never experienced before, me going through stuff in high school, right? I got Bell's palsy when I was in high school, which is like a very rare thing for a teenager to be getting, but I was so stressed out, right? And so when I zoom out, I think about writing that memoir, being on my deathbed, these are little things that are just compiling to make me who I am today. And when you are in this type of feeling, it's either you rise or you stay in it. And the only way to rise from it is to fully go through it and to fully accept it and to fully recognize, okay, this is where I'm at. And so I want to just really instill in you, if you feel like you are messy, your life is a mess, things aren't coming together, what would it feel like if you just fully embrace the messiness? What would it be like if you just fully embrace that goopiness, the caterpillarness, being in the uncomfortable cocoonness, instead of resisting it, instead of pushing it away, instead of being like, no, everything's fine, I'm fine. No, it's all fine, right? What would it feel like to embrace it? It's scary. It's uncomfortable. A lot of things will come up, right? Because we're staring at the broken pieces or we're staring at the mess and it's like, I don't even know what to do, right? And so just some steps to help and just to hopefully help you get to a better space. Number one is going to be get any emotions out. Crying, tears, somberness, anger, pain, whatever it is. If you've been like holding on to it, not feeling it, not letting it go, get it out. Get those emotions out. Feel what you need to feel, even if it's going to continue for days. If you got to suck it up, go to work. When you come back, cry in the shower, right? Find someone to talk it out with, whether it's a friend that you trust, family member you trust, get a therapist even. Sometimes getting a therapist or even getting a coach can kind of help you take a look at it from an outside perspective of like, okay, here's where everything is at. Here's how I'm feeling. What do we do with this, right? And you kind of have to decide what is that point that you need to get to. in order to maybe get some help, right? To instill some help. Or maybe you're already at that point, right? Where you have been trying to figure it out for so long. And it's like, all right, I've been trying to figure this out. I'm still kind of feeling stuck here. Maybe it's time to get some help. And I think a lot of the times our pride or our ego gets in the way, or that's another uncomfortable thing. That happened with me with my car accident and my breakup. I was dumping onto my mom, and at a certain point I was like, this isn't fair to her. And so we found it was time for me to find a therapist. So I found a therapist. I went to therapy. It was great. I'm even thinking about going back to therapy just for stress, managing stress, dealing with stress. And so needless to say, it's important to get the emotions out, get like all of the thoughts out, get the stories out. And that's the next step of just really like find a way to clear your head, find a way to take space. If you're going through a breakup and you haven't established no contact with that person, if it's possible, establish no contact, meaning like you block them on everything, you establish no contact for the next, 90 days, if possible. It's really hard to stay in touch with an ex and to heal, Same thing if it's like, you're dealing with best friend troubles or friend troubles, like take space from them, do no contact, right? Find a way to take a step away from the mess, take a step away from the problems if you can, and clear your head out. Do what you can if you need to. If you need to do like a little getaway, if you need to do spend some time outside and journal and just clear your head out, dump everything out. I think a lot of the times what keeps people stuck is the stories that we tell ourselves, the stories of like, well, he hurt me, I could have been doing this, or, how things should have been, or how things were, or, anxiousness over the future, or whatever it may be. Find a way to just like take it all out of your head, put it onto paper, talk it out. If you got to pretend like you're recording a podcast, I know some clients that do that. They go on voice memo and they just like dump. And even if it might not see the light of day, it at least takes it out of your head, because otherwise it's just going to stay up here and it's just going to go in circles around and around. And then you can find ways to just take space, creating space between people or creating space between the situation. I think when we're so involved in the mess or like what's going wrong, it's hard to come up with a solution because we're just so in it every single day. So maybe taking a break from it, taking some space, doing other things that you enjoy, even if you might not feel like it, maybe a hobby that you like, or getting some movement in, doing something to just like step away from it for a second, and then you can come back to it. And even in this time, the word that just keeps coming up is like cleansing, right? Trying to find ways to like cleanse yourself and reset your energy or recalibrate your energy or something to that effect. I was in my friend Jane's class. She's Dakini in a bikini on Instagram. She did a masterclass called Feel Better. And she is just amazing at what she does. And we did like an energetic cleansing practice that like you could do self to yourself essentially. And we even just like shook out the energy, and like that's something I'm incorporating now into my routines, because it just felt good to like shake out some of that energy and like self-cleanse your energy. So even doing something like that could help, showers, baths, that kind of stuff. You can imagine like just kind of getting an energetic cleanse of it, and taking space to just breathe and remind yourself that you're safe, you are okay. This is only temporary. This is just something you're going through. This is just something that's a part of your journey. And while, it may look like everyone else has it figured out or everyone else's lives are perfect, they're not. We're all just figuring it out, and you don't have to be alone in this. You can lean on people while you're going through whatever it is. And I think talking with people and owning up to it, like, yeah, this is how I'm feeling. You just never know what that could bring. Owning it I've seen it happen so many times where I've had friends talk about their anxiety or other troubles that they have on social media. I know a lot of friends that have recently been diagnosed with like ADHD, right? And just even owning up to that, you can create so many other connections with other people that are like, wow, I'm feeling the exact same way. I'm so glad you said something, right? Even if you're not an influencer, you still influence people. You influence the people around you. You don't have to have a big platform to influence, you know? So I think it's helpful to share some of those things you're going through. And sometimes it might be safer to do it with the people that you're closest with first before you put it onto social media. But I think it's beneficial when you are taking space to share and to talk about it, because otherwise you're just pushing it away. You're kind of like making it not known. I know with the grief that I've been dealing with, the first week or 2, 3 weeks, I had to talk about it. I was like, I have to talk about it. And even still to this day, like, it's only been 2 months. Oh my gosh. It's only been 2 months and it still hits me every time, right? So, for step 1, get those emotions out. Step 2, clear your head, take some space, generate some safeness, generate some cleansing into your life in order for you to just like kind of come to a neutral state about it, right? When our emotions are so high or so low, it's very hard to do anything. So kind of getting to a state of neutrality, right? That way you figure out what you need to do. That way it's like, okay, what am I going to do about this? That's what I always say. When I feel like things aren't going right or things are falling apart, things are a mess right now, I get the emotions out. I take a break. I step away from my desk. I take some time off if I can. And then I come back and I ask myself, all right, what am I going to do about it? What am I going to do about it? Because if I just if I don't do anything about it, things are going to stay the same. And then we're going to keep being on this cycle, right? So then that's when you can figure out a plan of like, what would really help and serve you in this moment to get you out of this feeling. So I hope that helps. Just some actionable steps if you're feeling this way. If you are feeling this way, I'm sending you all of my love. And as we wrap up here, just some helpful reminders that you are not alone. You have the support you need. What you are going through is temporary. And I am here for you. There are so many people that are here for you. You are doing amazing, even if you don't know it. I'm proud of you. And you should be proud of yourself. And the crazy thing about this whole life experience is that we're all experiencing these different things, and some of us are experiencing these things for the first time. Other people have been through it. And so what you are going through, while it may be unique to you, it's not unique to the universe. And so I find that to be comforting, and I find that to be helpful in sharing what I'm going through, because it may resonate with someone out there. And so, yeah, that's what I want to leave you with. If it's messy, if it's broken, it's okay. You are more than capable to fixing the mess, and you are more than capable to getting those pieces back together. And we also are stronger together. So if you need help in doing that, you definitely can get the help you need, whether it's from friends, family, therapists, coaches. You are so supported physically by us, but then also by the universe as well. So I hope that this was helpful. Just a little pep talk from me. It's been a while since we've done one of these, and I love doing one of these. And I too was feeling like my life was a mess and falling apart. And I feel like that every time my period comes around, which is just so fantastic. So I hope that was helpful. And in the spirit of wrapping up this episode, we always pull affirmations and higher self cards. I will be pulling from the butterfly affirmation deck that I have. It is by Alana Fairchild, that I believe that you can find this on Amazon. So we will go ahead and pull one of these for your week to send you on your way. Ooh. Affirmation for this week is, I choose happy and loving thoughts. I feel good and express love for myself and others. Whoops. I choose happy and loving thoughts. I feel good and express love for myself and others. Yes, we talk about this a lot with coaching, and my group coaching, that try to do things with love. When things feel messy, when it feels hard to take action, when you feel unsure about things, how can you do it with love? How can you show up with love? How can you be love? Especially if it's something like, you know, you're going through a breakup, right? Feels messy, feels chaotic. How can you pour love into yourself? How can you show up with love in the absence of love from someone else, even though you don't need that love? You have all the love for yourself. That's something else that was coming up. We got 2 cards and they fell out right away. A note from your higher self. So what we're going to do, I want you to take a deep breath. Take a nice inhale in. Hold it up at the top. And then we're going to release it and let it go. Exhale it back out. I want you to think of a number 1 or 2. And we're going to do this really quick. 3, 2, 1. Pick your number. If you pick number 1, your note from your higher self says, seduce the universe today, baby. Put a crystal in your bra, dab on some essential oil, do a hot girl hair flip, and seduce the universe today, you sexy bitch. Stay in your juiciness. It's your magic. I like to view this one too as like, be delusional. You know, if things are a mess, it's like, all right, what if we just like accept the mess and it's just like, all right, I'm going to change everything today, you know, and just be delusional about it. You know, that's what this one always kind of reminds me of. If you picked number 2, ooh, your note from your higher self says, ditch the familiar for the fantastic. That's also kind of like a little bit delusional too, because it's like, ditch your mess, ditch what's breaking you, ditch what feels broken and swap it out for something else. It's like, all right, I'm not going to be upset anymore about this breakup. It's time to let go. And sorry if I keep saying breakup. That one's just like an easy one to kind of like pick on, especially because that's one where I've truly felt like my life was falling apart. But if it's like, maybe you're going through like, you know, a job, you just got laid off or something, maybe it's time to ditch what you thought about getting a job, right? And just like be delusional and go after a job you wouldn't normally go for or something. I don't know. That's very interesting to think about, because we're so familiar with our mess and we're so familiar with what's breaking us that like, what if we just ditched that familiarity and just was delusional and swapped it out, right? Tea from the universe, cards from the universe. Well, my loves. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. I love doing these little free form, like, if you're feeling like this, let's talk about it kind of episodes, and I hope you enjoy them too. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe wherever you are listening from. If you're able to rate on Spotify, leave a review on Apple Podcast, or hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Let me know how you're doing, how you're feeling. I hope you have a good rest of your day, a good rest of your week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.